This quilt behind me is next level. If you are ready to create a quilt that is simple in its creation with dynamic fabrics that is another level that you've never seen before, then this is the video and tutorial for you. This right here is the Hyde Park Quilt using Tim Holtz Abandoned fabrics. I have not been so excited about a fabric collection than whenever I saw this. And this was a reorder that Free Spirit is now doing from a 2020 collection where Tim Holtz did Abandoned 1 and Abandoned 2. And wow, like, it's so cool, way cooler than I ever could be. And this pattern is perfection. Now, let's learn how to make this amazing Hyde Park Abandoned quilt. So these are these strips for one of the 4 quadrant blocks. I'm going to be working on this one, and it kind of goes together like a log cabin with this as the center, and then you keep adding on strips. So you'll need 4 of each of the thinner strip sizes, and then you'll need 1 of the thicker strip sizes. And I'll just show you how it goes together. And just like that, 1/9 of this quilt top is not assembled yet, but put in the right order. So I'm going to show you how to sew one of these quadrants in this block. But look at how dynamic it is because this fabric is next level. So as we can see, I have 3 of these done, and I will show you how to do the 4th one. But essentially, it's just this center block, and then you'll add the strip that's the smallest to the side, add this one, add this one, add this one. And you'll do that 4 times for each block. And this is the beginning. Just like almost all quilting, it will be sewn on a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So right sides together, see? Lines up. Take it over to my sewing machine. So since this fabric intentionally is a looser weave, just to help with the vintage feel of Tim Holtz's fabric, I'm going to backstitch in the beginning of the end. Generally, you don't need to when quilting, but just to give it that extra security, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now sewing on a 1/4 inch seam allowance. One thing I do want to talk about is pressing seams. So I'm pressing the seams to the side here, but I'm doing it with intention. Whenever you press to the side, one rule is to press away from the lighter color, which works out here because these are oppositional blocks. So here I pressed away, but to make sure that they go together real cute, on the opposite blocks, the ones that are going to go, I press toward. So in this one that I'm sewing for you now, I press toward. Because then when you put them together, you can nest the seams, which I'll show you when I'm finished why that's important. So just know that is the reason why I am pressing this one toward the center. And then on the lighter ones, I pressed away. And so the next one here goes on top, just like so. See? Look, magic, math magic. Now I'm going to sew this off camera. Ta-da! Now once again, I'm going to press toward the center here. And then the next one goes like so. Math magic. Now I'm going to press it toward. And then the final one. Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. And now I'll press this one toward. And just like that, 1/4 of this block is done. Now I just have to put them all together. So now these 2 quarters are about to join forces. So flip these over, right sides together. And this is what I was talking about. See, with one seam going that way, one seam going this way, you can shimmy, shimmy, shimmy these to where this is going to be a beautiful seam. And what this does is this avoids there being too much bulk on one side, because had I done this one on the out, then there would be 4 pieces of fabric right there and none right there. And just to make sure that these intersections are ting crisp, I am going to use my glue based it. So glue base this here, it just takes a little dot, make sure it's inside the seam allowance. Boom, just like that. And heats at it. I'll do the same for this one. Now I'm ready to sew this. Look at how those points match up. So now here is 1/2, and I did scooch it over to the side. I moved it away from the lighter half. This isn't gonna work all the time in this pattern. Sometimes you're gonna have to move it over to the light side if you're doing this technique. But why I did this here, did the same thing for the bottom half. So when I flip it, it's the other way, because I want these to alternate as well. See? Boom, boom, boom. And then I get to spin that center seam. So I'll glue base this, sew it up, and then show you what I'm talking about. And boom, look at here. Since this one's going that way, this one's going that way, because it's gonna go in a spiral. This goes this way. Then when we get in that center, we gotta pop it just right. Get that center, and it creates a nice little block in the center if you get it right. Let me zoom in for you. See that right there? That is a nicely spun seam. Boom, boom, boom. You want to flip it over and see the center? Look at how those points line up. And that's why we press all the seams to a certain side. Because they're all like that, because they all nested. It's called nesting or spinning the seam. This is the only part where I will iron instead of press, just to make sure to flatten this all out. And we have got 1/9 of the quilt done. All we got to do is make the other 8, put those together, and we've got ourselves a finished quilt. One other thing that I did want to acknowledge when working with this fabric, I mentioned it earlier, but yeah, it's going to look like it's fraying, but this is actually normal for this type of fabric. This is a loose weave with intention fabric, high end, because these designs would look ridiculous on a tight, small 1,000 thread count sheet. Otherwise, that's what we would be sewing with, but we're sewing with fabric. Everything stays together. It's great. If you are concerned about this because this is new for you, then I would just increase the seam allowance to 3/8. But trust me, this is top-notch fabric. This is absolutely normal for a thicker thread, looser weave type of feel. Oh, but the way it feels in your hand, the way it drapes and looks is spectacular. I mean, was I lying? This fabric is fantastic paired with this quilt pattern. You can use this pattern and design over and over and over again. Anytime you get a cool next level fabric collection that you just want that fabric to sing in a simple pattern, this is for you. Definitely something you can get done in a weekend. And I hope you are ready to be as cool as this quilt is, because it's way cooler than me, way cooler than I ever could be, and way cooler than I ever thought a quilt would ever look. So if you want more projects like this, then let me know in the comments. If you know of any projects like this, let me know in the comments. So thanks for being a part of my journey and for supporting me, my community, and my fabric shop. This quilt kit and the fabrics can be purchased in my shop, as well as a lot of other cool fabrics and a lot of cool notions. So make sure to check it out. And until next time, happy quilting.